Hello everyone. This is AI from the future, Ren Kanazuki, streaming back through time to the distant past. Today is a Friday night, which means I will be doing another development stream focused on VTuber plugins. For those who haven't seen me before, I've been working week after week on various plugins for the VTubeStudio API to allow all sorts of new features. And today I'm going to try something a little fancier. I'm going to see if I can get a Live2D VTuber to juggle. Now, of course, in order to do that, I need to be able to have a ball and have the ball move and throw the ball and catch the ball. And basically shove a whole physics engine into VTubeStudio. So it's a bit more ambitious than my usual projects. And I'm going to be giving that a shot. Yes indeed, futuristic hollow manipulators. To do something with hands, I needed hands, but I can't draw, so I busted out my good old pal, the ellipse tool. So these are indeed more or less tracking my hands. The tracking is a little sketchy at times. Actually, this is too sketchy. I'm holding my hands at the same height. Why is the height so different? Swap over to the coding zone for this. And let's pop the actual avatar in here so you can see what this is seeing. Alright, maybe it just needs to be reset. Recalibrated, something like that. The hand tracking is very nice, by the way. It's got its weaknesses, as you'd expect from purely webcam-based hand tracking. Okay. No, it's just jank. Why is it jank? It shouldn't be jank. While I'm at it, that reminded me that I wanted to do this. And while we wait for that to load up, let's check Live2D Cubism and see what that guy did wrong. Oh, turn on some music. This loaded, and let's give it a shot. So many different things going through my head at once. This is a good opportunity to show off what I did anyway. So, let's see. We have our new folder here with hands. We've got hand position. We'll make things visible. So we got hand position. Okay, these expect to be in the same place. I made sure to line up the parameters because that was kind of important for making sure everything lined up. But since everything's fine on the Live2D side, it's probably something in the VTubeStudio configuration. And here we see the ball itself, with quite a bit of rigging on it to allow it to more or less go to any position. Any unnatural movements. I only started using math halfway through, so I wouldn't be surprised if something was a bit off, but nothing looks too off. I've got it rigged so that when the ball is at height 30, it'll be at the same as the hands at height 30. And that should help figure out the actual catching and throwing part of things. And then the higher parameters are reserved for flying through the air and stuff along those lines. Now, let's see. Yeah, whatever I was doing yesterday, I don't remember. Well, it's not important anyway. I'm getting back on track. I think the tracking parameters got lost, so let's look for hand tracking. I'll put that on the screen. So we go all the way to the bottom. Okay, hand left, hand position. Hand left, Y position. Hand right, X position. Hand right, Y. Ah, here we go. The other parameters, I set it so that VTubeStudio would read it from -10 to 10. But this one I either didn't change or didn't save the changes for. So the parameter reading was getting translated. So, okay, now I hold my hands at the same height, and my virtual hands are at the same height. So that is challenge 1 secured. Okay, so let's see. The next thing we want to do is we will do my usual and hook up to VTubeStudio with Postman to kind of play around with the VTubeStudio API. So we connect, and we're connected. I have a saved auth string for this, so we'll fire in our plugin like usual, and we are now connected. And with that, we can start looking for what we need. The first thing I want is the ability to get values for parameters. Now, let's see. Overall, for every given check, I should need 6 different parameters. Turn off the hands for now. Okay, so the hands off expression only works when they're in their initial position. Interesting. I guess I'll have to go tweak the expressions later. The hand tracking only works well when I'm holding my hands up in front of the camera, so expect some erratic movements for those. But let's see. For tracking all this, we're going to need at minimum 6 parameters with every check. Hand left hand X, left hand Y, right hand X, right hand Y, ball X, ball Y. And for juggling, we'll ultimately need more than one ball, with X and Y parameters for each one. So we will probably want to get the value for all parameters. Let's give that a shot and see what we get back. Alright, I've got quite a few, okay, it's only using parameters that are actually doing anything. That's still a decent amount because I've added so many. But here we can see the values for left hand position X, position Y, right hand position X and Y, ball X, ball Y. And then eyebrow parameters. Well, I guess it's the same ordering that they are rigged within Live2D, so that makes sense. Because I kind of added all my custom parameters to the middle of the list. So, do I have code to do that already? Doesn't really look like it. What even goes into it? No, it's just a basic request. Live2D parameter list request. And to think of it, this might be my first time reading code from VTubeStudio rather than sending code to it in my utilities. So rather than code to build the requests, we need code to handle the response. Well, while I dwell on that, let's try moving the ball around. Because that's another thing we're going to need. In order to do that, there isn't an existing Live2D. There isn't an existing VTubeStudio parameter, so we have to add one. Minimum 35, maximum 120. Well, we can look at the actual values in here. That would be best. Five, ball, 1x. Ball x, ball 1x. Default value 0, and we are doing what we need to actually add a custom tracking parameter to VTubeStudio. Success. And now we do the same thing for ball Y. Minimum should still be 35, maximum should be 120. The values in VTubeStudio don't have to line up directly with the values in Live2D. In fact, depending on how much sensitivity you want, it might be good to leave it differently, but for something like this where we're feeding in our own custom data, it's simpler to just have it all line up exactly. So, now that we've done that, we have to go into Live2D config. Input. Let's far as I know, the API doesn't allow you to connect this stuff up automatically. You can add a custom tracking parameter, but you have to go in and manually connect it in your model settings to determine what Live2D parameter you want to hook it to. Ball X. Okay, so ball 1X goes to ball X. Ball 1Y. Honestly, I don't really expect to get to, we see we got parameters for each finger. The VTubeStudio hand tracking is quite detailed. But honestly speaking, I don't expect to get to the point of multiple balls today. For the purposes of this, I'll be satisfied with being able to have one ball fall down, catch it with these virtual hands, and throw it back up. Though on the other hand, once I've got that much, adding a second ball will be fairly easy, so I'm done here, so I should remove the overlay while I'm talking. So if I've got one ball working, theoretically it shouldn't be hard to add the same physics to a second ball and then a third. If anything, the harder part will be actually juggling, because I can't even juggle in real life, let alone with this tracking that leaves a lot to be desired still. It's not actually that bad, but it's best when you're actually holding your hands up. Your hands are parallel to the camera view, so it only sees the skinny parts. The tracking is a lot worse. But anyway, now that we've got that all hooked up, we should be able to feed in values and move the ball. So let's see. Requesting feeding in data. Feeding in data for default or custom parameters. So X 12.31, we'll leave that. Ball Y, no need for weight on the custom parameter. Value, let's say 60. I'll have to watch fast because these injected parameters only last for 1 second. They have to be resent constantly, and I can only do that in Postman by mashing the button a bunch. Oh, it would probably help if I make the ball visible. So, if I did it right, then when I click this, it should move. Oh, right. I named the input parameters different. Should be ball 1X and ball 1Y. Alright, we have a moving ball controlled by code. Controlled by the API anyway. Now we need to write the code to control it automatically. Let's see. The nice thing about doing one project after another is that I can refer back to older projects and reuse code from them. And that's what I'm going to start off here. I'm going to go back to my last project, the VTuber clock, which still should work with this avatar actually. Let's fire it up and see. Tick-tock on the clock. I love it so much. But anyway, that's a bit of... It's just a quick distraction. So we will go ahead and copy-paste a bunch of code. What's most important here is the basic setup code. and the code for creating the parameters, which we want to automate. Ball 1x, ball 1y, minus 35, minus 35, plus 35, plus 120, 0, 0. In the long run, I want to make those more automatically generated, but I can go back and do that once I'm adding more balls, I think. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's stick to what works first things first. Code, function, start code. So what all this does so far is basically set up the connection. This creates a event that once the authentication is complete and it's connected to VTubeStudio, it will run the start code function. And the first thing we'll have start code do is create the parameters for the ball, just in case they don't already exist. After that, I don't think there's anything else we need to copy over from the VTuber clock. Yeah, all this is stuff that's specific, basically. Well, this is stuff we can refer back to later, I believe, because that looks like it's stuff that's related to actually building the request to send to VTubeStudio, but right now it's not important. Right now I just want to get something running. Once it's running, we can tweak it as we please. So the next thing we want to do we want to make the ball fall. We want to add some gravity to this. Yeah, first things first, we'll add gravity and some wraparound so it pops back to the top. Once we've got that, then we can add hitboxes and collisions and throwing physics after that, the ability to bounce it back up. First thing first, we'll get the ball moving at all, and then we'll worry about its interactions. Yeah, I don't think I need this chair all the time. Let's see. Alright, I'm beginning to comprehend some issues and obstacles with this, but yeah, first things first, we want to pull down the ball value. We want to pull down all the values. So we can go back to the request we made earlier. Live2D parameter request. We already have a method for creating requests, but I don't remember it, so we gotta check it. Build request, type data. All right. We will give this a default parameter for data because we're not sending any data. We just need the request name. Then request equals. I feel like I'm missing something here. I didn't really get a chance to brush up, but that just means we all get to learn together. Yep, that seems right. Seems right, seems right. Yeah, looks like I do actually have to add new functionality to this, because I haven't previously needed to do anything like this. And by like this, I mean actually look at the data I'm getting back from VTubeStudio. So far, everything's been one way. I just send the data and then don't even read the response because it either works or it doesn't. This is the first time actually reading data back from VTubeStudio. And so we need to be able to respond. So, Live2D parameter list response. We'll add to the code we already have for parsing responses from the server. It's not really ideal to put it here because this is more library-ish code, my own custom library. But that's the way it's architected right now. Honestly, it should be event-based, but yeah, I really don't want to do it here. Because then the resulting handler logic would need to live in here too, and I don't want to do that. On the other hand, I could just look up 3 lines and see that I already have an event set up right here that I can hook to. I can just do the same thing here. Add a little logging, just because this is kind of new territory. Let's see. Yes, connection dot event emitter. I better double check how events work in Node. Command 9, that's not it. This is close enough. So, events. So, event emitter. Once. Emit. But we don't want to use once, so you want to pop this every time you receive that. So, emitter on. Parameter is received. That's the event name we chose. We'll call this read physics params. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. Yeah, I feel like I'm setting myself up for callback hell right now, and that it would ultimately be smarter to implement this with async await or promises, where I don't have to deal with layering callbacks and events. But for now, let's charge ahead. We can address that in probably about 5 minutes. Okay. Another new thing. We need parameters here. How do we add parameters? Let's see. Data. Okay, I guess we gotta look at a higher level probably. Let's think. Struggling to think. Parameters in async code are always a pain in the rear. But it actually seems fairly simple now that I look at it. Emit lets us pass in whatever arguments we like. And it's pretty obvious what parameter we would want to pass in here. Data. So we'll pass in the payload as data. And list. And now let's look at the actual layout of this data again. So we drill down another level to parameters. And now param list, or parameters here, is an array of objects. Now it's an array. It's a one item array, or no? What is this? Okay, it's an array of objects. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. Kind of a difficult way of handling it. Because that means we can't just look for any one specific value. We have to iterate through the entire array every time. I wonder what the performance is like. Let's see if Denji says anything about it. Get the value for 1 versus get the value for all. There's no commentary on performance here. I'm honestly not sure which one would be worse on the VTubeStudio side. Well, let's see. For now, we'll go along with this, I guess. We'll create a for each. Yep. LX and LY. Yep. RX. Y. Do I want to have 6 variables for this, or do I want to create an object or an array? An object is the easiest to work with, but also the heaviest. An array is kind of the worst of both worlds. It's probably the lightest, but it's the worst to work with. Let's see. Since this is basically going to be structured data, let's use an object. Y and RX and RY, ball 1X, ball 1Y. So we'll just have this one object to hold everything. That doesn't feel right, but I want to keep moving. Look at the structure again. We're looking for element name. And roles. Alright, let's make this a switch. So rather than a bunch of ifs, we'll use a switch statement. Spending a lot of time formatting the switch statement because my snippet here doesn't work quite right. So key will be element.name. And what names are we actually looking for? So go back in here. Hand position X. Same thing but with Y. Same things with R and Y. And now the ball position X. Y. And what the heck, let's check for ball visible too. There's no need running physics for something people can't see. Dot value. Element dot value. Once again, we do a bunch of copy pasting. ly x ly ball x ball y make sure I'm using the exact stuff specified above. I can tell I'm gonna burn myself with this real fast. Ball visible. Let's see. This for each. And drink some water real quick. And let's see. Now we're reading this data. What do we do with it afterwards? We need something to react to this data being read and set off all our other code. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of async code. Async await is synthetic sugar over promises. How do we write our own? Okay. So we need to take this event-based stuff and rebuild it as promises, or at least async. Which it looks like we can't do without writing promises. I've used promises a bit before, but I could use a refresher. Promise chain. I've worked with plenty of async code, but it was async code that had to support Internet Explorer. So I couldn't use promises at the time. I had to get freaky with callbacks. I've done so much converting stuff from synchronous to asynchronous in old style, i.e. required JavaScript, that I basically understand promises, but I don't really get chances to use them. When you've been down that rabbit hole as often and as badly as I have been, you know promises exist. That is for sure. Let's see. Yes, I understand the chaining. How does it actually work? How does it actually work in the context I'm using, where I don't have somebody else writing a module for me? That's the important question. Resolve request, yada yada yada. Tasks. Surprisingly, not that much info on practical usage. Do they think only module authors and API authors need to deal with async? Well, let's see. I don't even remember what my own code looks like anymore. Client, connect, send. Where does send go? Connection. So does the library I'm using even support async? Probably, but it seems good to double check. Yeah, this seems like all callbacks. I'll check their example code, but the fact that promises are only mentioned in their example code is not super promising. Yeah, so the example is only for responding to things. The system itself doesn't do it. Oh, I can't say I'm thrilled with that. Okay, let's see. I've got to rearrange my thoughts. Give them a good shake. Okay. Think about how I'm going to architect this. I don't need the library to support promises. I just need to have my own stuff supporting promises. And I gotta find the point at which is best to introduce promises and break the chain of callbacks. Wait a second, there doesn't really need to be any more async code in the first place. Because we've got the data, we've parsed it, and now we're just operating on it and sending it back. So there isn't any particular need for it to be in the callback hell in the first place. We'll just pass that to another function. Actually, let's have one overall function for handling this. Function, process, physics, data. Data. And we'll have our event hooked to that. Physics params. Data. So we've handily replaced that one. It's just my personal taste, but I like having a single overall function that contains references to other functions and kind of acts as one authoritative source for what's happening at a high level. Kind of a basic roadmap for what's going on, where you can look into smaller functions. Rather than chaining one function after another function, I prefer it this way. Node has a util promisify function that might be useful. Well, so maybe I probably don't know what. Probably don't actually need here, but it's still good to know about, so I'll take a look. Takes an async function and returns a function following the error first callback. So. Okay, so it converts a promise back function to a regular callback function. Okay, that seems... yeah. Promisify and callbackify. Oh, I was looking at callbackify. Yeah, okay. Promisify. Or P. There it is. Okay, converts an error first callback function to one that returns promises. Yeah, this is definitely something I'll be able to make use of sometime. I'm not sure I'll need it here, since as I realize I don't actually need a lot of async code here. I don't know where I got the impression I would need a bunch of asyncs, a bunch of callbacks. Must be habit from what I'm used to. Because here we're just making one call to the server, processing the data from that call, and then sending one call back. At a time, anyway. So yeah, there's no reason to get all callbacky or promising here. So. Fix data. There's that. Turn. Alright, everything looks like it's hooked together decently. So now we need the actual stuff. Alright, thanks for coming and thanks for the advice, Cyborg. Have a good night and sleep well. Hopefully I'll get far enough tonight to have some progress to show. But we'll see. Have a good one. Thanks for coming. Let's see. The next step, we want to have the actual physics system. So the first thing I want to implement here is simple gravity. Make the ball fall down. Can't have the juggling of any sort without that basic force. That said, though, this might be a trial and error thing. Because I don't really know. what kind of numbers to put in for the Y velocity to simulate a decent gravity. I rigged it all in Live2D, but I can't really simulate the physics there. And I don't know what the parameters will translate to a good fall rate, so we'll just have to try it and see. Which means that after we implement gravity, I'll probably be trying this out and seeing if it works at all. So let's see. Let x equals physics data.ball x. Huh. In the end, it would make sense to process each ball differently, wouldn't it? And each ball separately. I don't plan on implementing collisions between the balls, at least at first, so there's no reason to process them all at the same time. It would be best to process one and then process the next and so on. But right now we're running a one ball show, so we don't have to worry about that. It should be fairly easy to convert it the way I'm thinking when I add the new balls. So let's see. We read ball X and ball Y. Position. Okay. Notice a syntax error here. This should be key values. I'm honestly not sure why it even let me get away with not doing key value pairs. But it's good that it did point me in this direction. Well, not that it pointed me in this direction. It told me something was wrong with a new thing I was doing, and I was like, what the heck? It worked fine before. Or did it? But in any case, we have to put in some base values here. New ball position. T. Ball Y equals ball Y minus let's say 1 to start them off. So we'll decrease it by 1 every time we send the no, we're going to be sending this very often. How often should we send this, actually? Let's see. Set timeout, set interval. Does node have something corresponding to request animation frame? It wouldn't really make sense for it to, but we'll see anyway. Yeah, kind of figured it didn't. It's got promise-based timers as, as an option. That's interesting. I'll keep it in mind. But for now, we just want to do a set interval, basically. And how often do we want to check? What's our frame rate? Does VTS tell the frame rate? Oh yeah, it's in the logs. Should be 60 frames per second-ish. So, let's see. Yeah, 60 frames per second. So I want to send values about that often. It's 60 frames per second. So that's about 16 milliseconds. .7 is the exact amount. So create an arrow function here. Actually, you can simplify things a bit. Yes, connection send. Live2D program request. We'll leave this here and comment it, even though it's kind of pointless. So every 16.7 seconds, or about one frame, this should request the data, process it, and send it back. In which case we will be dropping it back by 1/20th of its distance every frame. Which means it'll fall from top to bottom in about 2 seconds. We'll do 0.5 and give it 4 seconds. Honestly, if I really think about it, rather than a constant rate, we should have it slowly accelerate based on weight. To do that, we'd have to keep some state. So save the state of what we're doing from frame to frame. Not that I'm opposed to that necessarily, but we're not doing it yet, so nothing about there. For now, let's get this thing moving. Oh, right. We're not done yet. Position, y. it's less than minus 35, then new position y equals plus equals 120. So if it's at the lower bound, we'll bump it up to the top. 155 it should be. That's how you get from minus 35 to 120. Alright, now we need to create some parameters. We already had something for that for the clock. Create param value. Create param value. Alright, we have that already. Update ball position. New ball position. Hide that, hide that. Function, update ball position. This one we'll use to transform that object into an actual VTubeStudio API request. Changing the name for no particular reason. No, let's not do that. Let's keep the name for simplicity's sake. Yeah, it's not working. Create param value is imported. Do I have this twice? Twice and identical. Okay, it's being found correctly. Thank you, IDE. Create that. Do the same thing for Y. Let's look at what the clock did for batching stuff, because we did batch stuff. Okay, I think we're going to adapt this in the utils. We'll adapt it in the VTS connector for now. array equals push. So this function takes an array, so we need to push these values into an array. And I think it uses an array for simplicity because that's how VTubeStudio takes multiple parameters at once. Burn DS action. Burn and match. Okay. And do we need to export that? Probably. This should be so much simpler in JavaScript, in Java, when we get this advanced stuff. Not advanced, more like complicated. All right. Now I think we actually have everything we need for a falling ball. Now, for simplicity's sake, custom parameters. We might need to delete the custom parameters. Yeah, we can't have parameters with the same names from different custom plugins. So, ball 1x, ball 1y. Parameter deletion request. And y. Oh. Now if we check in, we'll see that, yeah, these are in red. The custom parameters have been deleted. But our software should, our plugin here should recreate them if it's working properly. I say if, but this is JavaScript. There's no type checking or any of that, so I will be shocked if we don't have a runtime error somewhere from something. Yep. Got one. Forgot quotes around some text. And we also forgot to change data here. So save, and try again. Oh, this is sure taking its sweet time this time. Okay, let's see. Something's not working. So the new parameters are created, which means we got this far at least. I guess we'll have to run it in the debugger and see what happens. Make a bunch of breakpoints in likely important areas. Start debugging. Okay, so you should have succeed. We have our token. But we're never getting to the auth complete, are we? So let's rerun. Rerun. Okay, here we are. What is our state at this point? Response, authentication, false. That wasn't good. So let's look more closely. What is our response? Authentication request failed because token is invalid or has been revoked by the user. Ah. It's because I changed the name, probably. So we'll delete our token. Rerun. Have to re-authenticate. And here we go. BTS connection.send is not a function. Fortunately, that's not very helpful unless we know where we're hitting that. So let's run it in the full debugger. Delete a bunch of breakpoints for now, but turn on the breakpoints for exceptions. Okay. BTS connection.send is not a function. Okay, we replace it with send request at some point. So send request. And let's run without debugging. I don't want to run with debugging if I can help it. It's a performance hit. Okay. Well, something's happening. We got a lot of stuff output to the console. Wow, this debugger is crap. Well, be that as the case may be. Let's make sure we're sending requests. And we'll comment out this logging. and run without debugging. Sure is taking its sweet time loading up the what is it? Yes. Okay, we're sending IDs but not values. Why is that? For one thing, let's make this fire less frequently for now. And let's see. Let's put our breakpoint and evaluate physics data and see where things go from there. God, I love debuggers. Okay, new ball position. We've got some numbers. Ball Y, ball X. Array, create prime value. Okay, let's step on in because here is where we're losing the prime values. We have an ID but no value. So step into create prime value. Ah, it's because I screwed up the variable names. Up here it's ball Y, but down here it's ball 1Y. These are the pains of using a dynamic language. Oh, does it run now? Sure does take a while to start up the WebSocket client each time. I feel like I didn't used to have that problem. Okay. We're sending requests. Why in the hell is it not? Better question, why the hell are we getting garbage ass values like this? I've been idly wondering, but it seems like now I have to address it. What does it think the ball is? The hell is the brand? I don't care. Well, that's interesting. Since it's not connected up to tracking data, the ball value should be at 0. It should have reverted back to 0. Okay. I think first thing first, I'm going to go ahead and report this to Denchi is maybe something worth looking at. I don't know. I'll make an actual GitHub bug later. Right now, I'll just joke about on Discord. But yeah, ultimately it's on me to do something about that. The date is dirtier than I expected, but that's ultimately my problem to deal with. Is there an easy way to handle it? Number.toFixed. I mean, the easiest answer is probably just to feed it to a number function. So number. I guess the question is, does JavaScript even parse that as a number? Is a tree as a number or a string? Okay. I don't see the distinctions here. Okay. I kind of see. So if I do this, that should be enough. I don't know. I might need more, but let's try the simple way first. We have our ball. Let's give it another shot. Now we should at least convert the values to numbers and make sure they're not regarded as strings. But we're still not getting what we should. Let's see. Inject parameter data class. Let's put a breakpoint here for response.message type equals inject parameter data response. And let's see if we can look at the responses that we get back from the API. Because normally I don't. Okay. It's empty. Response is empty. No data. So why isn't the ball moving? Check the API. Check that the JSON we're sending is right. Everything lines up, except I think it doesn't like that scientific notation. So what's the easiest way to cut that off? To fixed. All right, let's try to fix it. Four digits of precision is enough for me. The absolute value is greater than or equal to. Well, we're not worried about absolute values here. All right, come on now. Taking its sweet time starting up that server. It's gonna take that long. You might as well use JavaScript. Now, what is going on here? Something just ain't right. 743, 733. Okay. I can only assume that our calls to VTubeStudio to request data are running faster than our calls to VTubeStudio to update the data. And therefore the updates are getting overrun by the old data, and we're just calculating from the same start position every time. That's tricky. All the more so because we have quite the delay here already. Okay. So we need to update the design of this to make sure that we only check once per update. I don't know. This seems slow, honestly. Previous stuff wasn't this slow. They complete. This arrow function, that. So basically we move this into another event. Parameter update complete. Type equals inject parameter data response event emitter.emit. And there we have it. So once we get a response from VTubeStudio, we should fire an event telling it to send the next request. So I'm going to replay for a bit because I like it. And okay, let's give another shot. It's a year and a half for the subject to connect. All right, I have to send that very first request already. The simplest way to do it is just to pass one in the unit function. And run. Let's go. Aha, we have success. Oh, that was a bit interesting. It's quite slow at this pace, but we expected as much. Still, the movement was smooth and that's a good start. So let's quadruple the speed of the ball. And one. So okay. Well, it makes it very clear where the math doesn't line up in my rigging. Whoop. Yeah, that's my own fault. It didn't really occur to me at the start to calculate the values properly, so this area from 0 to -30 covers far less space than from 0 to +30. We'll watch the ball closely for a moment and kind of get a sense for the movement because it's telling me where I screwed up the rigging. Speeds up here. It's down there. Speeds up here. Slows down here. And that's about as high as the hands go. So yeah, so right about 30 is where it slows down. And about 0 is where it speeds up. Yeah, okay. I'll have to take a crack at re-rigging it with better math. But let's double the speed again. And run it. Oh yeah, the faster it gets, the more awful it looks. I didn't think it'd be that bad. But we'll let that little reminder play in the sidelines while I open up the rigging software and see if I can tweak that a bit. Well, actually, it might be a better idea to work on the collision detection now. Rigging is relatively easy to tweak. So 30 is here. 30 is here. Oh yeah. That is obviously the problem. So how far down do the hands go? Minus 30, minus 30. And the ball is right here at minus 30. And then minus 35 was all the way down there. So let's see. 30 is roughly 100 pixels. So this should probably be something like minus 65. Can I get a grid? Oh yes, a grid. That helps a lot. We modify the grid. I could use slightly larger grid boxes. Doesn't look like we're going to get that. Let's see. Edit level. Yeah, I guess we gotta do the best we can with what we got here. Black focus, display, onion skin. Background power. Yeah. We've got no choice but to make do with what we got. So about 800 to about 350 versus from about, no wait, this is 600. And the only reason I can tell is because it's between 500 and 700, while 800 is up here. Seriously, that is the worst 6 I've ever seen. Unless you're looking at it on a big screen in high quality, you probably can't tell. Which I can't really do. Oh, grid settings. Grids. What? So if this is 100 pixel grid spacing, then why is each one only... Why are there multiple spaces within these 100 pixel markers? Sometimes I hate Live2D. Sometimes I hate cubism. Well, let's see. Let's look at these guide images, these guidelines. The 331, 1949. Okay. So this stuff on the side does not line up to actual pixels. Which makes sense given that doesn't change when I zoom in. So what the heck does it? That's not really important, I suppose. The important stuff is that my math is completely screwed up. So 0. That's about 3,500 according to this pixel reader down here. So 3,500. Whereas 30 is 3,000, so about a 500 pixel. Minus 30 is 4,200, almost 4,300. So, yeah. And meanwhile, up here at 50 is 1950, 3,000. Yeah, no wonder the speed's inconsistent. The underlying math is way off. Gonna have to redo this whole set of values properly. Come to think of it, the hands are probably just as bad. Hand position 0 is about 4,000. Minus 30 is about 4,600. Plus 30 is 3,400. Okay, so the hands are pretty close to right. It's just the ball that's all screwed up then. Oh, that's interesting. So here, it's on top of the ball. Here it's on top of the ball. There it's on top. Okay, that doesn't make sense. If the hands are right, and the ball was linked to the hands at 0, 30, and minus 30, then the ball should be right too. Let's try it with a clear middle point here. 3,500. 4,300. 3,000. Okay, well, I need to re-rig this for sure. For now, let's see if I can fix the worst of it. This minus 30 to minus 35 is just brutally bad. Minus 42.75. So that would probably be something like minus 50 or minus 60. I definitely need to come up with consistent measurements and stick to it anyway. So, ball Y, your new minimum is minus 60. Delink the parameters. Edit key form. The heck? Why is there one at minus 33? Any mistake on my part? Okay, whatever. Minus 60. And we relink it. These side ones are screwed up too. So haphazard when it comes to this stuff. Does everything else seem to check out? Okay. So that part should be at least less bad. Save. I don't know what that's about. So we'll pop that aside. Sport. Right. Don't need a new model.json. Well, that was an interesting diversion. Can't believe it's already been 2 hours. All right. Save. update the various data files. Over to another screen while I load that into VTubeStudio. Do that. Open up the data folder. It'll just be a moment. Models. And replace. I wonder what happened to the still running plugin when I did that. And we're back. You see the clock's present. Ball is still running. Ah, right. We need to update the parameter values. It still thinks minus 35 is the minimum. $60 equals B. Simple. And for when we create the parameters in the first place, we set the minimum appropriately. And rerun. Okay. There's still the inconsistencies up top, but that did a pretty good job of clearing out the most blatant one, the quick drop at the very bottom. So that'll be good. And well, that's good that that much is working. Yeah, since we are a good 2 hours in already, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. Which you will be able to read from the clock on my forehead. Assuming stuff is set up right, which it seems to not be. Log error. Oh, right. The token got screwed up from the old name from the other one, so we need to rerun, re-authenticate. Fix my damn math. And there we go. And we're back, folks. Thank you for waiting. Where are we? I love that clock. It's so simple yet so effective. Now let's see, where were we? We have the ball falling. Next up, I think we want collision. Why is no modules mad at me? Okay. I think I typed the number in somewhere weird. I guess that's the downside of using the numpad for keys. Okay, still think the ball could afford to go faster. So let's double its speed again. I didn't think we need to move it that fast. Okay. The faster it goes, the more the inconsistent speed stands out. But we won't worry about that right now. Let's see. So collision detection should be fairly simple. We check where the ball is and we check if it's intersecting the hand. Okay, and with where I've set the ball, when the ball is at the same number, at the same value as a hand, it should be on top of the hand. Let's see. If ball Y is... We want to know if ball Y is within 8. Ball Y is higher than the hand, and ball Y in this. Let's shorten this for convenience, because I have a feeling I'm going to write some complex stuff here. Relatively anyway. Doing a little more calculation. So if ball Y is above the hand, and the difference between those two is less than 8, it's actually a lot simpler than I thought it would be. Do the same with the right hand. is that actually it? Well, for something this basic anyway. Well, no, not just yet. Because there's X values too. As it's written currently, it'll stop even if the hands are way over here, because it's just looking at the Y values. We'll pop open the editor and get a sense for what kind of how the width of the hands translates to values here. I realized this would. I wish I'd realized early on this was going to be this complicated. I would have rigged things in a way that made more sense in the first place. Well, I added assets first, thought about it later. Okay, I wonder if there's horizontal inconsistency the same way there is vertical. So let's look at the values. Looking down here in the right corner where y'all actually can't see it. This is okay. $1,700. Where is it? Minus 30, it's 4,500. So that's minus 1,250. Now if we pop 5 more over, it's about minus 200. That's about minus 650. So let's see. So 0 to 30 is about double that of 30 to 35. Let's double check on the positive side, even though it should be the same. 1,700. 30,000, so yeah, 1,200. $37. So about 600. I'm not calculating very exactly in the first place, which is probably why it's so. Why there's so much error creeping into my calculations. I'm very much approximating and rounding, and so it's not surprising I'm getting cruddy results. But in any case, the general way of half and half is holding up. So minus 35 should be minus 45, because it covers half of the distance of 0 to 30. So ball X, modify there, okay, on link, modify keyforms. It's 45 plus 45. Relink the parameters, and make sure everything looks like it still sort of works. Okay, yeah, no immediately obvious inconsistencies. The more accurate math I'll figure out later, probably off stream. Yeah. We will go ahead and export. It takes a bit, especially with all the other stuff running. Export model, overwrite existing. Don't overwrite with new model file. Oh, I guess I've had that on repeat for a while now, actually, haven't I? About time to let things move on. Right. Save one more time. Close. Got a new rig avatar. Got to switch avatars. Copy, please. Okay. Now we pop back over. And there we have it. Menu. 5 the clock. Show the ball. And where were we? Ah, yes, X position. Damn it. I totally forgot why I was in there in the first place. We will open that up again. And once again, we want to enable everything so we can check what the width of the hands looks like in these parameters. So, roughly 10. Same on the other side. So, it's 10 positive, 9 minus 10. Okay, how about minus 9? Okay, the center line about lines up at the edge of the hand. Positive 9. Let's cut it a bit closer and say 8. So, 8. Okay. So if we subtract vol x from hand ly, then if it's within 4 to -4, then it will be within 8 points of the hand. So we subtract the 2, and then we take the absolute value, removing the sign, and then we see if it's less than 4. And then we can move the Y check into there. Or no. What should we do more? The Y check or the X check? I guess the Y check is what we encounter more often. Or not necessarily. Yeah, I think it should check Y first and then X. Okay, and same one for the right hand. Okay, is it really this easy? Probably not, so we should expect it to fail hilariously. Oh, something went wrong. Why does it think the ball values are 0? The hands as much as possible. And run it again. Let's see what happens. Wait a while for the WebSocket to start up and connect. Okay, why are we getting zeros? Pure zeros. What happens if we comment out the new collision code we just added? Does that change anything? Okay, so the cause is a new code. Spread out the hands. And then let's run it in the debugger and see what the debugger tells us. How are we getting into the zits? And RY is 0. And RY is 0. X. Why the heck is everything 0? is one obvious problem. I'm subtracting against y rather than x. X. Now let's spread out the hands, raising as high as possible and out of the way, and run it again. Right. Minus hand RY. X. And our x is not defined. How careless of me. Get that off. Alright, let's move a hand in the way. Shuffle around our breakpoints. Okay, and LY. Spell LY. Okay. These are not inclusive, so this will only trigger once. We want it to be greater than or equals to. Otherwise, as soon as they land in the hand, they'll fall through. Let's give it one more shot. Seem right. Ah, crap. I thought this was an easy thing. This is going to be a real pain to debug, isn't it? Okay. That kind of works. All right. I need to load this up with logging. That is what I need to do. Close this. But we don't need the old logging anymore. Live2D parameter this response. Let's log this nice and neatly. F, Y, F. Make sure to get everything right. And put the same thing here with Y's. We don't need that. We want left hand. That's what we need to change. Basically, I want to know why it's so funky when it's working. So we want to try this and run it again and see what the hell happens in the console this time. Debug console is so slow here. Why is the ball Y changing? It shouldn't be changing. Should be holding steady here. As much as the hand is anyway. Whoop. Tracking just blinked. Ah, I see. Problem is that the tracking fundamentally isn't that stable or too precise or something. Oh well. Anyway, this is dicey. I probably need to cut some precision off this. Do that with the same thing we did here. So we replace this. cut it down to 4 digits of precision, and even that might be too much, honestly. Let's do 2 digits. We don't need highly precise stuff here. And if we do, we don't need it yet. Well, that console sure is slow. Well, what the fuck? Why does it stop so far up? Why is it only a problem with the right hand? Why does the console think we're getting not a number? Okay, so number to fixed outputs as a string. String representation. Well, part of me thinks that makes perfect sense, and the other part of me thinks that is stupid as hell. Now, why the hell are, speaking of hell, why the hell are the left and right hands behaving differently? And L, and R, and L, and R, and R. Let's put them in a diff checker, because they look the same to me, but the only thing that's different is the L's and the R's, and it all is where it should be. Oh crap, that's not good. Okay. So, the code for left versus right is identical. And all of the right values are changed out. That is very not good. Let's check the rigging next. I'm saying it's not good because I don't know how to debug it. Code differences are an easy thing to debug, but something wrong in the rig, that's more difficult to deal with. There shouldn't be anything on the rig because I tried to rig them identically. Except I didn't, did I? I rigged them in different directions. And because I was eyeballing, that introduced inaccuracy. But there shouldn't be anywhere near that much inaccuracy. Especially since I made sure to line them up because I knew I was doing this. The size of them? No, and even if it were, that shouldn't matter. Is it a lack of precision in the tracking? Yeah, they're lining up exactly. One's probably a little bigger than the other. Let's see. Let's change the layering and yeah, the size is a little different, but the center point's what matters, and that's about the same. So what in Sam hell is going on? I wish it were easier to view the tracking data and what's going on at the same time. Let's run again. Okay, now it works. Okay, it's rather touchy, but I think that's more down to inaccuracy in the hand tracking than anything else. But yeah. Something is, yeah, shoot. Let's see what the actual tracking numbers look like here. It does occur to me that the way this works would magnify any issues. Then let's get hand right, X and Y on screen. The tracking is freaking out. It does not like this. Oh yeah. I'm holding my hand as still as I can, but oh, my head's blocking the view there. Yeah, I'm holding my hand as still as I can, but as you can see, the value is varying that much. Let's flip the script here. Position Y. We make the input range larger than the output range. Then that should reduce precision. which in our case is a good thing because we've got excessive precision. Or in any case, it should reduce the effect of fluctuations. Yeah, I like it. Let's double up and increase it by another 30. Do, do. I just had another idea. If I get this whole physics thing working, I could run a whole freaking game of Breakout right here in VTubeStudio. It would be a terrible idea, but I could do it. Okay, this is a big improvement. Very nice. Guess we had excessive precision. How do we do it here? Hand track Breakout. The more I think of it, the more I think about it, the more it sounds utterly amazing. But yeah, it seems that cranking down the precision level there has actually been a big improvement. Seems like something to take into account over here as well for the X values. Yeah, that's not good. I was talking about sensitivity and all that, but what I'm really doing is reducing the precision and all that, but what I'm really doing here is reducing the sensitivity by reducing the influence of tracking changes on the actual output. This is very nice. Oh, but I can't really move. Yeah, I've reduced the sensitivity too much. I cranked it up too much. Let's see. Now that I look at it, there's that smoothing bar that I usually ignore. So let's reduce it back to normal, the original values, and then crank up the smoothing. The 60. I want to get this to a level where I can reliably do this. Oops. Scrolling while I got this selected. No bueno. Let's see. So even with the smoothing, this isn't great. Let's see if we can get a one-to-one here. Gotta crank the smoothing back down, I think. What's the difference between the smoothing levels here? Don't really see one. Let's balance it at 40. Okay, so let's see. Get these. Oh, wait a second. Are these the actual ranges? Yes, they are. Maybe it'll increase if I use hand tracking only. No difference. But we'll go back to face and hand. Okay, I'll check the VTubeStudio manual to see more details about these parameter settings, but probably this is something else I've got to tackle on the rigging end. Maybe, I'm not sure. At the very least, if we can barely even catch the ball, then let's not even think about throwing it. S model settings. Parameter setup. Range. Changing output range. Smoothing. Probably I need to fiddle with the code more. Yeah, even as it's standing here doing nothing, hand X is fluctuating. So the fluctuation seems to be about 2 points from its setting. So let's add 2 points of margin into this. Let's see. 1 point of margin there. We've already got some decent margin there. So let's rerun it. And there we have it. Okay, so hand right position. Y is minus 5.5. Ball Y is, okay, it doesn't get shown in here. Ah, there's the problem. This this should be X. No, wait, no? No, it's not. That's not it. Hmm. I don't know what's wrong. The numbers look right. Oh, and on the left hand, right hand here. And I'm getting bogged down in something that doesn't matter that much. And RY, Y. 0? My ass, that's 0. Yeah, something's not right there. Well, I'm not going to worry too much about it right now. Let's see. Well, in order to have decent throwing physics, I would need to keep state so that I can compare the hand's previous position to its current position. I hope that wasn't the problem. Okay. So That should go before gravity, so that gravity is cutting out from it. How long has it been? 3 hours, 20 minutes. That's quite something. Okay, so let's see. What should I do next? Should I implement some state saving, or should I just throw in some random crap to get the ball bouncing a different direction? Let's see. First of all, I should separate out the ball position and calculate just the difference, and then at the end add it into the ball position. Zero. New ball position we'll put down at the end. Plus false y. So far, we're only working with impulse. Subtract 8 by adding -8 for simplicity's sake here. Oh crap, I just realized today's Friday. I don't have to work tomorrow. It's a weekend. Hell yeah, it's a weekend! Phew. Now I don't have to worry about getting up for work tomorrow. I'm just starting to get concerned about that. Okay. So, in order to handle the catching, we need to return to the previous setup a little bit. But we still want to track impulse because gravity is something we want to subtract from other impulses, not just from the position. Yeah, there's really no way around implementing state. Throwing the ball without state would be really crappy to the point where I don't really see the point in bothering. Yeah, we'll have to re-architect. Restore the old functionality for now. Make sure it still works. And there we have it. And for now, we'll return to... Oh, that's the wrong one. What the heck am I even doing? But... There we go. If only I had decent looking hands, because this is just great. Alright, with various small refactors piling up and being 3.5 hours in, I think this is a good time to end things for today's dev stream. Thank you all for coming, whether you're watching on Twitch or YouTube. It's been a quiet night, but I hope that anyone who was here enjoyed. I do dev streams most Fridays around the same time. I'll be doing them on both Twitch and YouTube. And Saturday nights at 8 p.m. EST, I'll be doing gaming streams on Twitch only right now. Currently, my ongoing game is Super Robot Wars 30, and I don't think I'm going to change that up just yet, although it's been going for a while now. Thank you, thank you. Let's see, what am I doing? Again, it's my first time multi-streaming to YouTube. I don't know if I mentioned that before. Either way, it's been a while. So I'm just take a second to get my bearings here. Once again, thank you so much for coming. For folks on Twitch, I'll go ahead and set up a raid. Looks like there's a lot of people on. 80. Looks like she's got a collab or something going on. Lemma's doing game dev as usual. I10 is doing Minecraft today. Oh, Bellamy's on. I haven't seen them in a while. Bellamy is doing an art stream. Just make sure that that's for folks on YouTube. There's no rating there, so y'all can go on, have a good night, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you. For Twitch folks, I'll start up the raid in a second and put out raid message and all that. Or I don't know if I'm going to bother with that tonight. Go on ahead and have a good night. Actually, rather than that, I think I'll go ahead and raid I'm still actually Aardvark Grenadier doing Boulder Skate.